Howdy. I like to address a specific issue I have. When I do get replies from people, I don't know how personal to get. It's always something I've struggled with my whole life. Is I'd like to ask questions, but if somebody tells you something that's really rough. It's like I never know what. Obviously, I have issues with knowing what is in good taste and what is in bad taste. My approach to it of not giving a fuck either way does not. It just extends to what I say, but it doesn't extend to the point of I want to ask questions. Like somebody told me they had a serious operation in like a post, and I would like to ask them that, and it's a lot of trouble to write. And I'm grateful that people will take the time and write me a post at all. Or I'm grateful to the very limited audience that I have that they will listen to me at all. So I just, when somebody tells you something painful, my approach, when I'm talking to people in everyday life, is to ask them how they're doing. I talked to somebody on the phone yesterday, for instance. I talked to my nephew, and I was like, he's like, I got a cold, and I was like, what do you think it is? How do you feel and stuff? But when somebody tells you they have these tragic, life-altering things happen to them, and you don't really know what to say to them. So it's you want to ask questions about people, but maybe they don't want to talk about it. I guess you could just I could just put a disclaimer type of thing on anything I write. You don't have to answer this question. I mean, but I am curious about people. I am curious about the people that actually sit through some balding, less than photogenic individual just prattling on about his feelings and his life, and just trying to be entertaining and stuff. So yeah, I am curious about you peoples, but I don't know, like, you know, I don't have any problem. I would tell you anything. Seriously, I would. I just, you can't put everything out there. There's other people in your life, and just from doing what I have been doing on here, I have somebody I've lost touch with, and I always think in the back of my mind, it's like, oh man, they probably watched one of my videos and got offended by it because I say things maybe other people don't want to put out there for public consumption. Point being about people's comments, and maybe they don't want to talk about their life, or maybe they don't want to talk about some of the dark experiences they've had, and I can understand that, because it's out there. Uh, I'm not going to take anything out. I'm not going to take any of my videos down. I'm going to leave them out there, but you can be damn well assured that a lot of the stuff that I put on here is embarrassing to me. A lot of times I probably sounded pretty loud, but a lot of times I'm like, oh man, what's wrong with you? But at the same time, that's the reason why I was talking all that nasty stuff in the last video. It's like my mind was taking a dark turn, and for this to have any value or anything, is I have to put that stuff out there, you know. But TMI sometimes is TMI. I got this guy that I know that was meth head. Now that guy will tell you anything to the point where you want to just put your fingers in your ears and do the la 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 thing. I don't want to hear this, okay? But anyways, the point being is that I am curious, and when I do when people write me a long post about themselves, I do read it. It's not I would like to ask questions about people's telling me that they've had serious surgeries like somebody did recently, and just follow up and stuff like that. But you know, I guess I could, and then just say you don't have to tell me, or like, um, trying to think of an example. It's like when people tell me about their benzo use. It's like I'd like to know more about it. I like to hear more about it. But this computer thing's like a one-way street. That camera, it doesn't talk back. It doesn't. It's not going to sate my curiosity about. And you're talking about people suffering some of the most intense and personal experiences they have in their life. And yeah, it's like the fact that they shared that much with me is like, okay, that's it's special in a way. I don't want to screw that up. Like, how was that, having that uh, uh, operation or whatever? I'm even trying to be sly now and not like reference the individual that, so they know who I'm talking about. Um, no, I haven't done anything about my leg. They asked me about my knee. And it's like, what I've been doing about my knee is I'm practicing walking on the painful son of a bitch. And I'm actually getting better at it, but it has consequences. I'm not too happy about waking up in the morning. I walked last night, and it was hard, but I walked 20 minutes with the cane and another 10 to 15 minutes with the walker. So that's, they do physical therapy for that type of thing anyway. I wrap it up real tight, but I haven't followed through with any knee surgeries or anything like that. I had one procedure done on my knee, and it didn't go well at all. I think it made my knee worse, actually. And then I'm down to my last orthopedist that my insurance will cover. So, I'm kind of like, uh, since I've been taking this taper thing rather seriously, I'm kind of just putting everything else on hold, and I'm just exercising. I'm treating this place, like I said, like a prison. A lot of exercise, a lot of avoidance of the other inmates in the institution. And one other thing that slipped my mind, because some other thought got in there and blocked it. But yeah, exercise, but I'm not making my calls, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not living a very healthy life right now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not talking to anybody in person. And I'm not making my calls, and I'm not staying on top of my situation. So I did. Was supposed to go to the dentist today, but I just pushed that till Monday, and I'm gonna go on Monday. I'm gonna make myself do that, and that'll be like the first time I got out of the house in at least a month. You know, you can get crazy just from that. You can just get crazy from living like that. You need interpersonal connection. The human beings are a social organism. We can't help. There's the loneliest loner in the world needs other people to talk to. That's or they end up talking to a camera. So, yeah. So I guess the point being, in that word salad, the main tomato is like, yeah, I am curious about you guys. I'm curious about your experiences, but they're bad, difficult personal experiences, and I understand very well that you can't necessarily put everything out there, and my questions I have can't are, are, are not necessarily going to be appropriate. And I've always had a problem with that, like um, not knowing the line, because the line with me, as you probably discovered, is maybe not the line with other people. Okay, the only reason why I hold back on here is the names have to be changed to protect other people. And then, like I've said, I get curious sometimes. I get a little paranoid sometimes. Like it's like I haven't heard from this person for a long time because I don't have many people. And I was gonna write him like oh, it's too early in the morning, but I was gonna text him, and I was like I haven't heard from this person forever. I mean, what is that about? What's going on in their personal life? And then I start thinking, like, did they hear? are they hip to this stuff that I do or these things that I say? Uh, you know, and I will talk about other people in a veiled way that are a part of my life on here. And it's not always, it has to be honest, so it's not always in the best light in the world. I try to, you know, I sometimes I don't try hard enough to like I'm sure that if people actually watched these things that were in my life, they would like be a shut the fuck up committee. Not necessarily pitchforks and torches, you know, outside my window, but they'd be like, "Man, you got a big mouth." And I've actually had people yell at me, "You got to watch what you say. You know, you just can't." It's like not everybody is into honesty. It's like I have a different take on that. Like, well, you know, if you don't, yeah, I can understand like if you're sharing something that's personal, but if you're doing something to me and I'm a part of it, I should have the right as being part of that experience to talk about that experience. If you don't think that I should talk about that experience or you think it makes you look bad, well, act better so you don't have to worry about that stuff, you know. But other people don't necessarily think that way. Um, but yeah, I'm back to. I'm gonna change the subject on that because I think I pretty well exhausted that. But yeah, and I answered the question about my knee. It's like I'm not doing much about anything. It's kind of it's not good. It's kind of making me it makes me nervous if I get too passive, if I'm not making phone calls, if I'm not staying on top of a situation. It feels like procrastinating, even though I'm channeling my energies into something else. But I mean, the knee ain't going anywhere. It's actually not as swollen, and it's more useful than it has been. So the physical therapy, which is just walking, um, has been doing some good. But really, it needs to be addressed by a professional because you see me walk. It's not pretty. It's not normal. It may never be normal. Um, anyways, so I made this is why I'm kind of mad at myself. Also, is I made this video after a couple of days because I don't have a whole lot to do, besides the baton death march of exercise that I have to do, and then actually stayed up late last night because I didn't want to wake up. I feel horrible when I wake up. It's like the exercise, it's good. It makes me stronger. I'm walking better, falling down hardly at all. But it seems like it wakes up pain. It seems to cause me pain. Like I wake up in the morning and I feel rough. Um, why that is, I don't know. I'm just lifting weights and I'm walking, and that's about it. It shouldn't. It shouldn't cause me that much pain. But yeah, my mind is not ordered or organized, and I realize this. And I'm at 12.5 milligrams of volume a day, same as I was before I was stupid. On the 6th, and decided to drop it to 10 after 9 days at 12.5. I'm back at 12.5. So, well, I was starting to say I was disgusted with myself because I made a video and I was like, well, at the end of this video, I'm going to like just show you the work that I've been putting in, just show you my upper body, which I never wear a shirt anyway. But I mean, to see if you see any difference, or see if I see any difference than, videos I made after I was in the hospital, and, see if my work has been paying off or not. It's all about the lighting. Um, and then I was gonna sit in a chair, get a guitar strap, and play. I said I was gonna play a couple riffs on guitar, and I didn't do any. I didn't do that. Like I do the talking part, I can do, but I got the guitar in here, and then my aid worker came early and unannounced because that agency is run in a shoddy manner. They interrupted the process, and after they left, because they're there for like 2 hours, well, they're 2.5 hours that day or yesterday. I didn't bring the amplifier in here. I was just going to play a little bit on guitar, even though it's not going to sound good because I haven't played electric guitar for ever. I don't know how long. A year, at least. I don't even have my effects board, so I got to play it clean. And if you play like through an effects board, um, yeah, that was a thing. That's like had a huge effect on the style. It's not just the fact that I'm not good with chords, but if you play a guitar dirty, chords don't sound that good. But a single note riff, you know, if you do something simple like bridge of size and you do it clean, what do you got? You got nothing. If you do Voodoo Child, do 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 do, there's like 4 notes in there, but you got all these effects and you can dress it up, and and suddenly you got something. The point being is like I'm gonna be playing clean, and so my effects board's at somebody else's house. But yeah, I was frustrated with myself that like, okay, you made a fairly good video, and you didn't you weren't ambitious enough to sit in a chair and put a lamp over the chair and then pick up a guitar and just play a few notes, because I wasn't gonna, I was just gonna play like a couple of riffs on a guitar. That's all I was gonna do, and I couldn't make myself do it, or I didn't get around to it. I get tired after I exercise, and I lay in bed and I don't want to move. And anyways, um, yeah, I'm I'm just tired and bored with myself. This gun's for hire. Even if I'm just dancing in the dark. Yeah, I'm getting pretty squirrely from living like this. I don't know how much longer I can live like this. I looked up my appointment schedule, and I go in to see the psychiatric nurse on the 3rd of March. And yeah, I have oodles of volume, which a phrase that probably nobody has ever uttered before. Boy, do I have oodles of volume. But I have like 210 pills right now. You know, I had 120 in a bottle, and then I just got they filled my 90 script early, so you know the math, 210. So that was yesterday, and yeah, so I was thinking also about the setback, because let's face it, like that's why you're here, is like, you know, I mean, some of y'all might like me and stuff, but like we got the benzo thing in common, and I'm able to talk and able to relate to your pain. Maybe you can relate to some of my pain. I don't know, because this doesn't talk back. I do hear in the comments that people like, I get it. You're doing okay, and I get some reassurance, and it's all very well appreciated. But yeah, I just want my brain to be clear. You know, I just yeah. But anyways, see, that's the point that I was going for. Is like, yeah, maybe that setback. It's like the do over that I'm doing. maybe it's going to make it take longer to go from 12.5 to 10 now because I went to 10 too early. Okay? And that's like, I assume that's why people listen to this. It's like the hardcore people anyway that are willing to sit through this is we share that. We got that same thorn in our sides um, of dealing with you know the the wake of either the wake of what benzos, as far as like the boat done gone past us, or we're on that ship, and we're trying to get to that other shore, like the Buddhist parable about you take the canoe from one side of the stream to the other side of the stream, and then you leave it behind. And the turbulent waters that we're crossing is the Benzo River, and we're trying to do it together. So I kind of like assume that that's why, I don't imagine a healthy person, as far as like healthy in the sense of clear-minded, not benzo-afflicted person would sit through this, because half the time I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I'm just having faith that I'm making some kind of sense, you know. It's just owing to a long history of suffering that I'm able to talk in this state, and maybe that's the function that I serve. I don't know. Maybe I don't serve any particular function. Um, I don't know. But yeah, I just had a lot of experience with suffering. So like, even though I'm suffering through, like right now I'm having trouble, um, I'm still able to fight through it because I've had that experience in the past, and it may be able to speak for some of y'all. I don't know. I don't know. That's presumptuous sounding as hell. I realize that. I don't know. Um, Maybe I'm able to articulate and describe the experience in ways that other people can't, because just like other people can dance and I can't dance, but my tongue can dance. And I can talk and I can describe what this is like to a point, you know. I think it's, I don't, like I said, I don't even bother talking about this to non-benzo people in the world, because you can't relate to it. It's just such an alien experience. And, you know, plus they say hurtful things sometimes. Um, but anyways, here's to you. Uh, I'll throw that other video up sometime with the guitar and stuff, because it was pretty good. I just have to break out the guitar and do a few takes. And I remembered my song that I wrote, but it's like 5 minutes long, and I can do some of the riffs out of it anyway. But some of it's hard for me to do, and I don't have the effects for it anyway. But part of the reason why is like I don't like being uncomfortable. I'm like normal in that sense. I don't like being in pain. I don't like being uncomfortable. So a lot of times I'd much rather just be in be in a stupid bed than sitting with a guitar and being uncomfortable. And just because obviously I'd much rather be normal, but I'm not normal. I got this disease that makes me uncomfortable where I can't hold a guitar right. I look at people who can hold a guitar against themselves lovingly, and even though it's more of a phallic symbol looking thing, this lovingly, like a woman, hold that guitar against themselves, and like I can't do that. I have to play in a certain weird way where I have to have the guitar tilted away from myself, and and I have to sit in a chair and I can't stand up and play you know, like you see the people do on the TV. Um, so that frustrates me, and I try not to think about that too much. But I think about that as like a lot of my life is built around the CRPS, whether I can help it or not. It's like I'd like to be doing other things, but it limits me, and you know. But my mind used to be unlimited, and now my mind is limited, and that's why the benzo thing has to go. Like, I looked up the comment I got where somebody was taking the same dose of volume as me. I gotta clear my throat. Excuse me. And they said, "Why are you doing?" They called me dear, and they're like, "Why are you doing this to yourself, dear?" You know, because they didn't see it as a big deal, and that's why. It's like I don't have a whole lot to offer physically, but I have something to offer mentally. At least I used to. I want to get back there and be sharp, quick, coherent, lucid, and a master wordsmith again. Instead of somebody that's just on here babbling like an ape, hoping they make sense and hoping that somebody is getting something out of it. So that's why I want to quit. My life is extremely boring, and it's a bunch of drudgery right now. And I can't afford stories though anymore, because like if you look at my summer, the stories in my summer, they're not healthy for me. They involved smoking, they involved roughing up drunken people, they involved being threatened, um, they involve all kind of bad stuff. I mean, it makes for good stories. I've never signed. I got to do things that I never done before. I've never taken custody of another person and signed a paper for the police. But those aren't. Might be interesting, but I'm not up to interesting. I'm not up to being interesting and having an interesting life right now. Thank you. But as far as like, yeah, I gotta stop. I'm gonna start doing that like on Monday. I'm gonna have to find a way to get back on track. Um, as far as like taking care of business, and I should probably text the guy whose appointment I had to cancel last week because of the benzo shock that I had of dropping my dose too fast, and reschedule an appointment with that dude and talk about moving. That's also putting a strain on me. Is like I'm not spending any money, and I'm just clamming up. You know, that's my way of saving money, and not doing anything, not buying extra tasty food to help my appetite along. I mean, I must have spent like, if you take out the $20 that I gave my brother, I must have spent like $28 this month. And it's like, the 19th, I think. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not spending any money. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not living anywhere near a healthy life. And, yeah. And it's getting to me. It's like you should at least be, I can at least schedule trips to go visit my brother. But I can tell you a funny thing about, me sending that $20 to my brother, which he's broke, and I was like, well, I got a little bit extra money, so he wasn't calling me back. It's like I talked to him, and he immediately tells me that he's got these older people in the neighborhood that he's friends with, and he's a great guy. So he sneaks around because he knows the guy's like 80, but you still think of yourself as a young man. Like I sometimes still think of myself as a freaking teenager. You know, the person that you see is in the inside. It's not the person on the outside. So this old guy wants to help him, and you know, he just ends up hurting himself, or you know, it worries my brother, who's real strong and stuff, younger than me. And so he like ninjas up there with a snow shovel and clears out the guy's driveway because the snowplow pushed all this snow in front of the guy's driveway, and he didn't want him doing it for himself. And the guy caught him when he was done. And he was like, "Well, I could have helped you with that." And he goes, "Oh, that's okay. I just was passing by, and you know, like, yeah, you're just passing by with a shovel for a cane. I mean, come on." But the guy gave him $20, and then later on, the wife comes out and gives him $20, either for that or for something else. So it's like, yeah. So he come into some money, and then I sent him money while he was already coming into some money. So he got $40, then he got my $20 coming to him, and I was like, man, I'm saving money so hard in anticipation of rearranging my life here that I wanted my $20 back, but I'm, of course, not going to take it back. Um, but yeah, that's not a healthy way to live. Um, I got such a ridiculously high level of irritability too from living like this, like trapped inside and not talking to anybody and not spending any money and really just putting my whole life on hold and letting my bank account swell. That I got angry at RaIsins yesterday. RaIsins pissed me off. I'm not even making this up. But they send me these little boxes of RaIsins in the Meals on Wheels meals that I live on, which I only like 50. I only find like 50% of them edible, and I just choke down the other 50%. But I was holding these raisins in my hand, and I was like, "Why are they always sending me these fucking raisins?" And then like I was trying to put them in the refrigerator, and I was dropping them because I just had handfuls of these little boxes of raisins, and I can't, because of my teeth, I can't eat them anyway. Never been fond of raisins anyway. I can't eat them. So I'm fumbling all these raisins all over the place, and I feel the irritability rising. And you know, I had the urge to kick something, and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, dude, to kick or punch something over raisins. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's ridiculous, but that's that benzo irritability is a beast, man. Um, it's why like sometimes I get on the phone or I call people, and it's just normal conversation, but I'm like, I'm chewing on tinfoil listening, or like it's like why are we talking about this? Or I think things like yeah, these are valuable minutes here. You know, they're not only valuable minutes because I have limited minutes on my phone. They're valuable minutes because like I have limited minutes on my life. I really don't want to be talking about this. So yeah, I've been watching a series of videos that uh, describe the value of these difficult experiences that we're having, and like it's getting to the roots of why people get anxious and have anxiety, and one of them had a funny name, like it was like depression, how to ruin your life, which is an attention-getting name, but I should give the website a plug. I think I would, but I can't remember it. I'll just post a couple of links for it. But it's really good stuff, you know. Um, and I'll post the links in that other video that I made where, you know, it had some amusing stuff in it, and I was in a good mood. And I'm assuming, you know, people would prefer to see me in a good mood and talking a little faster, and you know, not being too distracted by loud banging noises upstairs and whatnot. But it's like the it just the noise upstairs, man. It sounds like they're pushing a bed around on wheels. And again, benzo irritability. But anyways, the site, it's like it had really good 10-minute videos on anxiety and depression, And it has an angle on it, like that those are actually valuable experiences. And I've always had the theory that, like, depression, people act like a default state of a human being is happiness and contentment. It's like, no, not really. Like, depression can be a natural reaction to having a shitty life, or a natural reaction to not getting your needs met. Or, like, anxiety is there for a reason sometimes. Uh, and it gets, to the root of, um, yeah, why people feel anxiety, and how you can't run from it and you have to deal with it. And I talk about that a little bit in the video that I didn't put up because I said I would play my guitar. But I just, I think I appreciate the people that do listen to this, and it's just healthy for me to keep my brain intact and at least try to communicate with other human beings when I'm living in isolation like this. But, I'm still hopeful about finding some other place to live and living a different kind of life. And, you know, the CRPS thing, I don't know where that's going to go. Or, if that'll get worse, if that'll get better, if my knee will get better, it's like, that's one of the reasons why I hang around, is like, I don't know. So if you don't know, there's still hope. And if there's still hope, no matter how bad you're suffering, hang around. See what the future holds. That's my philosophy. And like 3 months down the road, I could be living somewhere else. I could be comfortable. I could be outside. I could actually go and sit outside in the limited Ohio sunshine and like not have to worry about, having conversations about Molotov cocktails with people with PTSD, or people drunk off of their damn ass and talking about the craziest shit in the world, or dealing with just reprehensible people and negative people. And I could meet, or I could actually have, imagine this, I could actually have friends, maybe. Wow, that would be awesome. That would be a new concept. Or people that I could form healthy relationships in a new place, maybe in a new town. I have enough. I'll have $3,500 next month to start this possible new life out with, and then maybe I can reach some of the goals that I have set for myself. Maybe I can pursue my hobbies. Maybe I can write some more music. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. There's still possibility, even though I have the pain-generating disease and I have trouble wearing clothing, and I have a very horrible past, which reminds me of something that I heard. Like, it made me laugh. It was not supposed to make me laugh, but it made me laugh. Like, somebody was like, go up and talk to they're college age kids or whatever, and they're like, go up and ask her out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Is she'll just say no. And a couple of you can probably know why that's so damn funny to me. Like, what's the worst that can happen if you approach a woman? Because the worst that can happen is, for me, went a lot further than maybe she can say no. It went a whole lot further. But I can't really talk about that because it goes into areas. I have that secret video on here that talks about that. Because, as I've said before, I had a leaked therapy video. And, but it goes into a whole area that I can't go into because, like I said, you can't put everything out on the airways. But for a couple of people, I went ahead and like told the story, because the story on the surface, um, yeah, the, the story on the surface is one thing, but the roots of the story is it goes and involves other people that maybe don't want that information out there. But it just was funny to me. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you ask a girl out? It's like, she just say no. It's like, no, not really. And yeah, but uh, yeah, I don't like to be cryptic like that. But like I said, you can't put everything out there. But no, I appreciate you guys, and I apologize for like the last video being morbid. Nobody wants to think about that stuff, and you know, but I have to also be honest. And yeah, I get like this has been putting a strain on me, and I get morbid, and I do self-destructive things. And since I'm not up to, like, I don't know, smashing people's windows with a crowbar, it ends up being inward turned instead of outward turned. And yeah, I'm gonna have to. I get frustrated with the music thing too, because like it, it's like I have such a limited vocabulary, and I can't express the things that I want to express on a guitar. And I can hear things in my head. I can hear music in my head that I have no idea of how to play. And like, I never learned how to string together a decent chord progression on a guitar. So, you know, a lot of my so that's frustrating to me. But then that's like another thing I could work on if I can get out of here, is like I'll have a little extra money set aside, maybe get a guitar teacher. Now, I got in such a bad state of mind here that I actually had a professional musician living in the building briefly, and I could have talked to him or played guitar with him, and I never did, which was very stupid. But he was actually sitting out on the porch one morning playing an acoustic guitar, and the guy actually gets paid to do it. And he like jokingly played Johnny Cash's "I Walk the Line" and sang along with it. You know, I was like, dude, that was awesome. You know, but I didn't break out my guitar because of comfort issues. And holding, you know, it's bad enough. I was actually trying. I had a shirt open, and it was the summertime, but I really couldn't set up right because I have to be on a couch and I have to have all these physical limitations and stuff. But I never made the effort. Like, I don't know how much money I had back then, but I was like, I had a guy that needed money because he was getting gigs, but he wasn't getting that many gigs. And he was the boyfriend of boy. I could never figure that out, because she would refer to him as a boyfriend, and then he would refer to her as his wife. So like, I could never figure out what the relationship was, and I didn't ask. But anyways, he was around here all the time, and I could have got guitar lessons from him, and maybe he could have learned. I could learn something off of him. I mean, I can learn and learn and learn, but I don't have the ear for it. But that doesn't mean I can't learn and expand what I can do on a guitar. Because what I can do right now is like do a bunch of simple chords and play scales. I'm not good at changing keys or anything like that. But that's something else I could do in the future, you know. It's like, you know, just because you're old, and I am old, it's like, it doesn't mean you have to like, well, this is me. I'm going to stop progressing as a human being. I'm going to stop learning. No. And you keep learning, keep changing. You can do that stuff into your waning years. You can do that stuff with limited health, you know. Um, so yeah, that's like, I'm hanging in there like hope wise, but this mode of life that I've adopted here, I've kind of been forced to adopt, because of the craziness, because of the relationship with the landlord, and because of financial restrictions. Like I said, if you're spending less than $1 a day to live, you know, I still have my bills. I guess I'm not counting my bills. I still have my internet bill, and then I have a Netflix bill and a YouTube premium bill. That amounts to like $80. I put off pay. I don't know if I should check my electric bill, but my electric bill is like $20 a month, so I usually don't bother paying that until like 3 months gone by, and they get to the disconnect point. Um, but yeah, if you're living like that, it's gonna put a strain on you. But I just have to think about the future. Like I can change all this, benzo addled or not. I can change all this. Now, how long I have to stay at 12.5, I can't tell you. I have to play that by ear, but I don't know if it's going to take me longer now to drop my dose because I dropped my dose too soon and made myself sick. I don't know. I'll play that by ear. I was thinking like, what about like, I know you're supposed to like drop your dose and like stick at that dose, but what if some days I'm taking 12.5 and other days like I can skip the middle dose and then go back to 12.5. I'd still be taking less benzos, but like, you know, is that a good idea? I don't know. I thought I could, obviously I've made mistakes, many of them, because I've been trying to do this since March 18th. Now, granted, for 10 months of that, I did not get any help from the medical community, but now I have help. I have somebody that knows about water titration that's supposed to be managing my case that knew about stepping me down from Xanax to Valium. And, but the problem is like I asked the guys, like, when I went in there, I was like, I want to get off of Xanax. And he was like, I don't remember the circumstances of the conversation, but I do remember that he said, well, you're kind of the first guy that's asked me that because they don't really deal. He just knew about that stuff from general knowledge, but I don't know how. I'm going to have to ask him that specifically. How many people have you tapered off, and what's your success rate and stuff like that? But I guess the people that come in there, they don't ask to be taken off of Xanax. I was the first guy. It's like nobody asks, because that place there is anti-benzo. They won't prescribe it. And when I went there, I remember like looking. I was going in there like maybe I can get some benzos. Like maybe like they'll help me out. But then I looked on the wall they had like a list actually on a sign of the medications that they prescribe, and none of them, no Valium, no Xanax, no Ativan, no Ambien, no benzos. They don't prescribe benzos. They're anti-benzo. So I was like, well, they're not going to help me. They're not going to step me down like that Ashton method thing. Then when I actually talked to the guy about it, he was like, well, yeah, I'll prescribe you Valium. And I'm like, what, you will? He's like, yeah. He's like, that's different. He's like, we don't prescribe Valium, or we don't prescribe benzos to people that aren't on benzos, but you're already on benzos, so I'll help you. I was like, well, hallelujah. Like, that's, nothing. There's nothing better than an unlooked for wealth of good luck suddenly. It's like, I've been looking for you, and I just accidentally found you. It's like a medical person that knows the Ashton method, that knows about dropping people down off of benzos. It's like, where have you been all my last 10 months of my life? So, yeah, and I still feel so much better than I did when I was just on Xanax. So, Um, Even though I wake up and I don't feel good. I mean, by no stretch of the imagination, and you know, it's still a shock to the system when you're lowering off a volume. The, the mechanism behind how they work is the same, but they're not all the same. Um, that may sound contradictory, but I talked to medical people about that, and it's like, well, that's a mistake that a lot of people make, is they kind of like think they're all the same, and they're not really all the same. And maybe they were just referring to the half lives and the potency and that kind of stuff. I don't know. But anyways, how long have I been talking? Uh, 50 minutes it says. But I'll save that video for another day and do another couple workouts with 25-pound dumbbells, and then you can see. I'll just show you my upper body, you know, and you can see if I'm getting, maybe you can see the difference. I don't know. I can see the difference, but it might be a trick of the mind. I don't know. I know I'm stronger. I know it's easier to work out with that. I know that if I would have tried to do 25-pound dumbbells, I would have injured myself like less than a month and a half ago. I started out with 5-pounders, so I went from 5-pounders to 25-pounders. And I enjoy lifting weights. I always have. And I'm like a mesomorph. Okay, you got your. They used to have like class body types and 3 types, like a mesomorph, an endomorph, and an ectomorph. The ectomorph are your skinny Ichabod Crane types. Your endomorphs are your people that tend to be of a more refrigerator shape. And then you got your mesomorphs, tend to be your like prototypical athletic bodies. Well, before my body got wrecked by benzos, I was more of like a mesomorph type of dude. So, I was blessed with a lot of good things that went to hell. Like I had like some of the best hair gone. I had the mesomorph body. I have ectomorph legs now. I have ostrich legs, bird legs, and I was blessed with athletic ability. That's way gone, but like not like high quality athletic ability, but a certain amount of physical grace. I could walk across the top of a roof, like I said, on the peak, without any fear of falling, which I used to do to freak out my dad. Because when we would do roofs, he would have to have a rope tied around his waist and tied to a tree. Because I guess that's probably a lingering effect. Like he did a roof when he was young, and he fell off and broke his arm in 3 places. So I mean, that experience will stay with you, falling off a roof. And we were so amateurish about when we would do roofs. Like we drop a hammer and say, "Look out below," you know, so that if the hammer fell and hit somebody, it wouldn't hit them on the top of the solid part of the head. They would look up and it would hit them on the soft tissue of their nose. Good plan. Like they could dodge a hammer coming down. Look out below. Look up and get hit in the face with a hammer. So yeah, I miss that stuff. I always liked working and chopping down. I like chopping down trees, swinging axes, using a saw. I never mess with a chainsaw. I mean, an actual handsaw. And mainly I'd use a hatchet or an axe. I miss doing all that stuff. I miss being active and being outdoorsy and all that stuff. And now I've been forced to live a different kind of life. And I wonder about, like, the videos, the links that I'm going to leave below here. I wonder about, like, yeah, there's a value in depression, and you can learn things, and through anxiety and depression, it's like a learning experience, and it explains it pretty well in the video. I'm not gonna try to in the couple of videos. But man, at what price? I would much rather go back to yeah, the price is pretty high. Um, but I don't know. Sometimes like I feel like depression gets a bad rap. It's like they expect the natural state of a human being to be happiness for some reason. Like you're born and you're like, I can understand it when you're young and you feel like immortal and stuff, and death and all that's the concept. But when it sinks in, are you supposed to be like, yay, I'm gonna reach my peak at a very early age, and then I'm gonna have a slow decline, and then I'm gonna struggle with existential crisis, and then I'm going to die. You know, it seems to me like the default position for human existence should be rage, anger, sadness. It seems more logical to me. It's like, why did you bring me into this? You know what, like Norm MacDonald would say, you know this is going to end badly one way or another. I mean, yeah. You, but then you have other things that offset it, like humor. You have genuine, nice moments with people, and you have the joy of human expression. Um, like I played my one video for some dude where I'm playing a guitar, and he's like, "Man, you make some faces like you're having a damn orgasm or something." I said, "Well, sometimes it feels like that." So there's joy in life and stuff like that, but it seems like you know the default or the bulk of human existence is a lot of work, a lot of maintenance and taking care of the body, and a lot of dealing with psychological uh, the difficulties and dealing with other people's issues. And it's like life's really hard. It's like, why wouldn't you? Why would? Is this like something, a myth or something, that you're just supposed to be like naturally happy? I mean, because when you go to a shrink or you go, they act like there's something wrong with you for being depressed. And it's like no, no, that's called logic, okay? You know, it's like, why have you been feeling down lately? And have you ever been a human being? It's rough. It's tough. You know, it's it's it can be a really excoriating experience at times. I like that word, excoriating, because it means scoured or scooped out, hollowed out. You can feel empty. You can feel like just, There's a line in the show Kung Fu that I never got before, where that was my scriptures when I was a kid. Was the original Kung Fu from the '70s. I watched that show like I was at a church service, and that's why I guess I became like I followed the way of the Tao and Buddhism. While I went to Catholic church and eventually said, why am I going to church, to my mother when I was 15? I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't get anything out of it. But the line the guy had on there, he's like, what do you know about strength, to this guy? This guy's like a gunfighter and like a big ranch owner that owned all his property. He's like, what do you know about strength? He's like, you had it all your life. You held it in your hand like a possession. He said, strength is like when you're like a walnut shell, hollowed out on the inside. And I'm like, what the fuck is this poetic motherfucker talking about? And I'm like, yeah, now I know. It's like strength is like when you feel empty and hollow, and you still keep going on. If you're if it's the Gilbert Grape lesson all over again, that I referred to in a past video. If you're already like strong and you you know it's it's like what the story that I used before to describe it is like I had a cop buddy that got in a fight with three guys and won. Okay, it's a lot stronger for somebody to get up in the morning that's going through some kind of the benzo experience where you just feel empty and beat down and hopeless, but you get your ass up out of bed and you try. So what that guy said in that show about, you know, strength is like being a walnut shell, hollowed out from the inside. Like in other words, like the nut's gone. There's nothing in there, and it's like I was like, what the? I remember watching that as a kid, and not understanding it, and, being blissfully ignorant about it. And it's like, yeah, now I understand what they're talking about. But that's in a specific episode where they use all kind of poetic, like old timey language. It's really quite beautiful. Like he's like, one guy's like, why do you want to mess with that guy? The ranch owner guy. He's like, he's so strong he can lasso the moon and put it in his boot. It just had all kind of cool uh, language in it. You know, um, the last thing you want to watch is like a period piece where they're not mindful of the language. Where they have a western where people are saying, "Hey man, well that's cool, rock on, dude," where the language doesn't fit the period. But anyways, like I'm gonna drink one more sip of coffee and do a cheers to all of us that get out of bed and make an effort, even though we're walnut shells. To all the walnut shells out there, God bless. Remember that, though, man. That's real strength. Is getting up and trying, even though you feel empty, hollow, beaten down, and hopeless inside. You still, if you can do that, and if you can feel like that, still try and still get out of bed. And what does it say in the Rudyard Kipling poem as the end? Then my son, you are a man. Then my daughter, you are a woman. Everything's got to be sexist. Um, but yeah, people do have a strange way of looking at the world. It's like we celebrate these athletes, and and then we're surprised that they're like weak people. Well, of course they're weak people. They've been pampered their whole life. I remember that one kid in school that was a star athlete that was allowed to have a mustache because he was the star running back for the team at Perry High School. Can't remember his name now, but this other kid was just this Arab kid that had like a heavy beard. They made him shave like 2 or 3 times a day. Meanwhile, other guy's walking around with a full mustache in high school because he's the star athlete. So it's a lot. It took a lot more strength being that poor Arab dude that was being singled out. They made him shave like 2 or 3 times a day. It seemed like. It's like every time, it just seemed that way. They probably made him shave like once a day, but he just had such a heavy beard in high school that, teachers by lunchtime would, you know, he'd just bring a razor to school and they would make him go and shave and stuff. And they were always kicking him out of classrooms. He's like, uh, what are you doing coming to school not clean shaven? And he didn't even bother to explain, because I would look at the guy and he would come in clean shaven, but he just had a relentless beard. And which guy was it easier to be? The guy that was allowed to wear the mustache, the guy with all the physical advantages, or the guy that was singled out and semi humiliated? I guess he got used to it by being kicked out of class and told to go shave in the middle of school. But anyways, yeah. Um, so yeah, a lot of people, like, it sounds like a cliche. They'll say we're strong people. It's like if I say hell yeah, if you're like on uh, if you're struggling with the mental confusion and the pain and the suffering and the sickness, and still trying to get off of benzos, or you're off of benzos and you still feel that way, and like I've had a guy on here tell me like he didn't know what the hell was up. He's like he's been off of benzos for 24 months and he still feels like hell. Another person would tell me like 20 months and they still feel like hell. Now this of course is not encouraging to me since I'm still on benzos, just tapering. Um, but yeah, I think of the strength it takes, you know, the strength it takes to hope for the future. And trying to, I myself am trying to be strong and be like, this is just a temporary circumstance. This whole situation of living here, of feeling like crap every day, and not being able to think and express myself the way I want to, and not being having a place where I can sit outside and not have to deal with just reprehensible people. Um, it, it takes strength to have that, to hold on to that hope, you know, not despair. I've heard the expression "despair is a sin against God." It's like a line out of Anne of Green Gables, but it's just like it might even be from the Bible. I don't know, but I don't buy it, you know. But at the same time, the hope in the face of despair, it takes a lot of courage. And benzo despair is like I have at least 2 videos on here where I like vent fully the despair that I had. The more recent one where I had the dream that expressed the despair that I felt, where I felt like I was carrying around my past of who I was, symbolized by a cadaver, carrying around my own corpse of the person that I was and being treated like crap. And I thought that was funny, you know. For a nightmare, it was funny. Um, but where I was like, "Can I have a cigarette?" Somebody refused to give me a cigarette, and I'm carrying my own dead body. And I'm like, "Look, I just died. I need a cigarette." It's pretty funny for a nightmare. So yeah, I can't take credit for that though. But that's pretty funny for a nightmare. Anyways, I talked enough. I just wanted to say hello and maybe wipe out the bad taste or the bad memory of the last video that I had. And sort of update you on my mood. You go through these crazy mood swings with this stuff too. It's like, this will be offensive to women, I'm sure, but it's like, I can relate to PMS now. It's like the mood swings are crazy with this stuff. Like I'm in a pretty good mood. The last video I was like in a distraught, miserable mood. Another video I'm like at the bottom of the barrel in complete benzo despair to where I can't even express it. I have to tell you about a nightmare. And then you like, you know, tomorrow, who the hell knows what tomorrow brings. That takes more of that courage stuff we were talking about, you know. And yeah. But I don't want to like drown my point, like but I am serious about the PSA commercial things, because I mean sometimes maybe it's hard to tell when I'm being serious and when I'm not being serious, but there really should be some kind of PSA commercial out there where we have like a benzo spokesperson, and they like warn people about this, because that's how, like I said, I avoided uh, chemical dependence type substances and possibly addictive substances my whole life, except for tobacco. Alcohol, I tried. I never, I didn't have that. I've been drunk, but I didn't have a problem. That wasn't my thing. But as far as like coke, heroin, meth, bath salts, uh, any kind of like opiate abuse, I No, thank you. No, thank you. I mean, I didn't have my one downfall was I like downers. That's what opened the door to let the benzo demon in. Is I like downers. I liked the relaxation, and because I have the chronic pain thing, they would help me sleep. So, um, as far as the opiate thing, I would like if I could get like a couple of the lighter opiates, I would take those. But the rest of that stuff, like I've watched people snort coke and stuff like that, and they'd offer it to me. And I was in a car with people smoking crack. No, 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 no. And I avoided that stuff all the time. And it's like I've talked to people like I said, and dental hygienist, since I don't see many people, and they didn't even know what a benzodiazepine was or what the hell I was talking about. And suppose they stumble upon it in the same way I stumble upon it. So I'm very serious about that. That there should be like commercials on TV warning about that. I mean, like I was saying in that video, we have billboards around here talking about the opiate crisis that actually say this many deaths from opiates, and then there's like an anti-opiate campaign around here to the point where they, because people were using gabapentin or Neurontin to heighten the effect of opiates, that they made gabapentin a controlled substance, just because of its association with opiates, just because it was hanging around with a bad crowd. So like, it's like, who didn't know about opiates? Okay, who did who didn't know about the danger of like opiate addiction? Uh, you can watch a show about the old west, and they'll have opium dens, in the Chinese district. Everybody knows about that crap, but this benzo thing is like a mystery to a lot of people, and it shouldn't be. There should be some kind of commercial out there like informing people. And it's so stupid to have these commercials like telling you it's bad to hit your wife, or like PSA commercials about eating healthy and all this stuff that we already know. And like, yeah, if I would have saw a commercial like and had warning or even knew what a benzodiazepine was, well, it would have been horrible for you, because would have been deprived of my inestimably valuable company, but it would have been great for me, you know. So yeah, I'm dead serious about that. I mean, I don't know if there's benzo awareness at days now, and there's organizations and stuff, but we need to get some funds together, man. I don't have enough money to give to anything, but if they had like a fund where you could get commercials on TV about that stuff, and commercial time is incredibly expensive, um, because the people that are going to be watching these videos, the horse done been already let out the barn. You know, like when I started watching videos about benzos, I was already on benzos. The point being, but if I was watching TV and watching a football game, and somebody came on there and had echo whatever that is, that symptom I was spared, where you get the shakes, akathisia, I can't say the word, or some of the hideous symptoms on there, and they're like, you could see it, and they were like, this is because of benzodiazepines, and they listed the drugs. I mean, would the pharmaceutical companies like block that? Would they like sue over that? Is that why there's no commercials about it? I would like to know these things. Okay, I really, I really would. I don't understand why I don't understand why we have to suffer, and there's nothing out there. There's no voice out there on like media airwaves. Nobody out there saying to people that don't know about it, no, be careful. Or like, why are there even doctors out there like my doctor that was like one when the indication for the pill is 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, I don't understand any of this stuff. It makes me very angry, and because you just swallow it up now, like it swallows up a large. I feel like a whiny crybaby sometimes because I know that there people's been struggling with this for years and gone through way worse than I have with it. But it swallowed up like 5 years of my life now. Where I'm just like, and it's ruined a lot of relationships, and it's I think about all the things that I could have been doing, and what, how much has it contributed to my downfall, like health wise? I don't even know. I just, I, yeah. So that part of it's really frustrating to me. It's frustrating that I feel like a walnut shell and empty on the inside and just like excoriated, just like scooped out, like something was scooped out of me. And at least I still have my emotions, obviously. Some people get to where they get the deadened emotions effect and stuff. And yeah, if I mean doctors prescribe opiates, they barely prescribe them anymore around here. Heaven forbid, like you can get 5 teeth pulled and they'll tell you to take Advil rather than giving you some Percocet or some Vicodin or even some synthetic opiate type stuff. Just go home and suffer. But so the doctors prescribe opiates is the point, and um, they have anti-opiate campaigns around here, so it can't be that. So yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that commercial where there's somebody that they have commercials for like the smoking thing. They have commercials on there that'll make you wince, right? Where the guy's talking to his throat with he's had to have this, he had throat cancer and stuff. And people have known that smoking's killed you since what? When did they start putting them labels on? Like 40 years ago, 50 years ago? Everybody knows that stuff already, okay? You don't need to warn people about it. Everybody, I bet you everybody has known somebody that's died from something that's smoking related. So everybody knows that's bad for you, but there shouldn't be any ignorance about the benzo thing anymore. It's like, I mean, this soapbox that I've climbed up on has gotten pretty like high right now. I realize, but yeah, it really makes me angry. I just can't help it. It really makes me angry to think that my situation was preventable because I always avoided that kind of stuff. I mean, I sat there and I watched loved ones go to jail over um, dependence/addiction type substances. I watched people go to jail. I watched people's lives get ruined by it. You know, and so I I knew like that's not gonna be me, and like here I am. Yeah, here I am reduced to talking to preaching to the choir. You know, how is this going to reach anybody that doesn't already know that benzos can possibly ruin your life, or that that's why you need the commercial on TV where somebody's like, "Oh, I just want to watch Gilmore Girls." And you're like, "Wow," it has to be something like shocking, like the person talking through their throat. That's had, that's just like whoa. Or like they have the Animal Cruelty Humane Society with the Sarah McLachlan thing that everybody avoids that commercial where you see animals suffering, and like yeah, everybody knows about that too. Like, why are you telling us all this stuff that people already know? We already know spousal abuse is bad, alcohol can be an alcoholism, and we already know about animal cruelty, about we already know all this stuff about you know, I feel like throwing a rock at that billboard I pass all the time about the opiate crisis that we're having here. It's like yeah, okay, everybody knows about that shit, man. There was like junkies on Beretta that were like hopeless heroin addicts, and Everybody knows about the Oxycontin the hillbilly heroin thing. They make TV shows about it and stuff like that. I'm done. I'm done. Okay, I'm just. Now I'm aggravated. Now I ruined my own good mood by thinking about the stupidity and hypocrisy of the world. Anyways, like I said in the last video, and I kind of like stepped all over the point, is like, don't ever feel bad about yourself for feeling bad, or like, because this is hard for me, and obviously, and I lived through spinal reconstruction, screw in the head, um, morphine. Let's say I've experienced opiate addiction. So I was briefly addicted to morphine when I was 16 years old when I had my spinal surgery because they gave me way too much of it for way too long a period of time. And, CRPS for 32 years. And I'm struggling with this. And I'm having trouble coping. So if you don't have that vast experience of suffering and you're still managing to be brave and keep going, it's like, man, give yourself a pat on the back, and here, I'll pat you on the back for you. Good job. And yeah, I know you can kind of get lost in like your own head and your own thoughts about like and it can make you like have that negative outlook and opinion of yourself. But I don't want you to feel bad over or feel weak or feel bad or anything like that, because the suffering that I've been through in my life is it's pretty much incredible. And I'm having trouble. So if I'm having trouble and you've had like a relatively normal life, and before you had to deal with the benzo thing, and you're having trouble and you still keep going and you still keep getting out of bed, and you keep trying, and you're a good person, and yeah, you got my admiration. I mean that. And I'll talk to you next time. God bless, goodbye, and good fortune.